Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video. She's going to be out and about today again, so you're stuck with me. But we're going to talk about Twitter, now X, moving out of San Francisco. This shouldn't surprise anyone. Remember when Elon Musk said he was going to turn it into the world's largest homeless shelter? We're going to go back to that because I think this has always been the intention. I think as soon as Elon Musk bought Twitter, the long-term goal was to move it to Texas. And I actually called it. I said as soon as he bought it, I'm like, when are they moving it to Texas? He moved Tesla to Texas. Now he's moving X to Texas. And it's weird because authorities in San Francisco are like, well, it's barely an inconvenience, right? Like, it doesn't bring any meaningful revenue to San Francisco anymore. I'm like, yeah, just another big empty building, I guess, right? So even if it's not officially a homeless shelter, it's probably going to become a homeless shelter anyway, the way things are going, which is really sad. I actually spent a good chunk of my youth living in the Bay Area, and San Francisco used to be a beautiful city. It was a beautiful city. It's unrecognizable now, but everybody's leaving. So we're going to talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, check out the audio edition of Clownfish TV wherever you find podcasts, as well as the Derezzed podcast with interviews and gaming news and that sort of thing over there. So the New York Times, X to close flagship San Francisco office. Elon Musk, X's owner, had clashed with California's leadership and said the social media platform would move its headquarters to Texas. I know he was going back and forth with Gavin Newsom on X, on Twitter. And it's so catty, the response, too. We'll talk about that. So, yeah, this is coming from the New York Times. X, the social media company owned by Elon Musk, formerly Twitter, plans to shut its San Francisco office over the next few weeks, according to an internal email obtained by the New York Times. Are they going to get rid of all those activist T-shirts before they go? I forget what they said on, but they had like a whole bunch of activist T-shirts. They found like a whole stockroom full of them, and Musk was laughing about it. In the email, which X's chief executive Linda Yaccarino sent to employees on Monday, the company said workers would move to existing offices in San Jose, California. X is going to be opening an engineering-focused office in Palo Alto, California, which it will share with XAI, the artificial intelligence outfit owned by Mr. Musk. This is an important decision that impacts many of you, but it is the right one for our company in the long term. Musk said last month he's going to move the company's headquarters to Texas after California passed a law that bans school districts from requiring teachers to notify parents if their children change their gender identification. And yeah, so he's got an issue going on now with one of his kids. So this might hit close to, I was going to say, it's below the belt, but it might hit a little close to home for him. But regardless, I think this was always the plan. He moved Tesla out. It's about taxes. I think at the end of the day, it's about taxes, and it's about California, unfortunately, just turning into this like batshit crazy state. And it used to be, it was a great place to grow up, right? Like, I remember the Bay Area, late 80s, early 90s. It was great. And I don't know what happened. Like I said, I haven't been back to the Bay Area in, God, probably over 20 years. I've been to Southern California a few times in the last couple of years, but I have not gone back to the Bay Area. But it's so sad. I see all these videos of San Francisco, and I'm like, man, it was a beautiful city. It was a beautiful city, and it's toast. Anyway, Mr. Musk, who has a tempestuous relationship with the state, said that such legislation would force families and companies to leave California to protect their children. I think it's about taxes. I think he was going to move it all along. He was making a joke. Here's the thing about Elon Musk I've noticed. He jokes about things, but there's a kernel of truth there. Like when he was joking about buying Twitter just to see what people would do. I called it then. I know a lot of other people called it. They're like, he's not joking. He's actually going to try to buy Twitter. Like, he's not joking. He doesn't think like that. He's not going to put that out there to see what the reaction would be, unless he was actually thinking about doing it, when he joked about turning X's headquarters into a homeless shelter. He was only partially joking. He basically was like, yeah, I already made up my mind. I'm going to move it to Texas. Of course he is. He's going to keep most of his businesses in Texas. Since Musk bought Twitter in 2022, the company has skipped rent payments to Shorenstein, right? So this is the company, the real estate company that manages X's office building on Market Street. X also tried to cut costs by turning some of the space into bedrooms for traveling employees. Yeah, it's incredibly expensive. And there's like, what's the value proposition in San Francisco? You know, pay a ridiculous amount of money to rent a storefront in San Francisco. We're going to let you get robbed. We're going to let people shit on the streets outside of your storefront. We're going to tax you to oblivion. I mean, what is the value proposition? There is none. There is no good reason to have a business or even live in San Francisco anymore. It's a damn shame. It really is. There is no comment from X. So yeah, let's go back to this. This was last year or the year before. He said in 2022 he was going to turn Twitter headquarters into the world's largest homeless shelter, but apparently he was not allowed to do that. For years, Musk has made a point of sprawling himself across the internet. On Tuesday, this would have been Tuesday, April 12th, or April 11th, rather, of 2023, according to SF Gate, San Francisco Gate. He took to the public spotlight in an even more intense fashion. He gave a rare live interview to a BBC reporter, simultaneously streamed on Twitter to hundreds of thousands of listeners. In the conversation, he said he admitted that buying Twitter was a soap opera. He admitted that sometimes he sleeps on a couch in Twitter's San Francisco headquarters, claimed he tried to turn part of his building into a homeless shelter, defended his dramatic job cuts, and joked that his dog is now the company's chief executive. Yeah, it was almost like a meme. It was like like if you're the richest man in the world, what can you do? If you could buy anything and you just want to troll people, what do? You buy Twitter and you turn it right wing and you fire a bunch of people and you make a big deal about it. And you basically turn Twitter into your personal message board, which is kind of what he did. He kind of turned Twitter into like his own message board. But it has changed considerably. I mean, I think the change was kind of gradual. I mean, we still have some very far left people that hang out on Twitter and try to cause issues, but it definitely politically it swings right now. And I never thought I would see that. I mean, I expected Twitter to kind of go more back to center, but like, damn, I did not expect Twitter to become what Parler wanted to be. But here we are, it's crazy. Now, is it sustainable long term? I have no idea. I really don't know. But again, Twitter was a critical node for journalism. And so much of the cancel culture and so much of the narrative could be traced back to Twitter and Twitter drama and journalists, writing hit pieces and then retweeting those hit pieces. And then other journalists would write articles about those tweets. And it just was this like very incestuous, situation. And Twitter was, I believe, responsible for like 95% of cancel culture, because you got this really distorted view of how angry the general public was about a certain person or a certain thing because of, the algorithm, which is easily manipulated, and because of journalists magnifying each other's voices, again, artificially. Like you could have a dozen journalists in some Discord somewhere, and they all kind of kibitz in Discords. And they pick a target, and then like one journalist will, I call it the chum bucket, like whatever the first article is, they would dump that chum bucket, and then the other sharks would feed off of it, and they would just start parroting, and quoting these other articles, and then they would go out to Twitter, and they would find tweets to support it and turn it into this big deal, and get it trending in Google News and all that. And then that's how people got canceled. More likely than not, they would get canceled for tweeting the wrong thing. See, Gina Carano, for an example, a prime example of that. But yeah, they broke it. He broke it. Elon Musk broke it. He bought it and he broke it. And I mean, we can argue whether or not it still has as much relevance as it had. But I mean, journos, the ones that are left, are still using it as a source of quotes and news. But he did say he was going to turn it into a homeless shelter. He said it's not been boring as last year. It's been a roller coaster. He said originally he tried to get out of buying Twitter for $44 billion because of what he perceived as the platform's major bot problem, but his lawyers pushed him to close the deal. He later called buying Twitter something that needed to be done. Yeah, I think it does. I think a lot of the big stories now are breaking on Twitter with independent journalists because it's not locked down like it was before. Before, if you said anything out of turn, you were shadow banned, blacklisted, thrown off the platform. There were a lot of users that were shadow banned that had no idea they were shadow banned. And yeah, it's definitely changed. It definitely has changed. He said there's mistakes along the way. He insisted that Twitter is headed in a good direction. All's well that ends well. I think ultimately Twitter will be in a much better place. I think people that are in the center or lean further right obviously prefer Twitter now. But yeah, I don't know if it's ever going to have the impact that it had before, because I think we're seeing the internet as we've known it get dismantled. And I think this kind of, they're actually taking the sign down. I think this kind of needs to happen. We did a video yesterday talking about Google and how much power Google has. And we had this era where Google, Facebook, and now Facebook is supporting Trump, Zuckerberg supporting Trump. Like, what the hell happened? But Google and Facebook and Twitter were all in lockstep, with journalists at these blogs that were supported by Google and Facebook and Twitter. And for about 10 years, they controlled the narrative, everything you saw, everything you perceived to be as truth. These tech companies controlled it. And now it's all cracking. The money's running out. The free money's running out. And now they have to be sustainable. And I think a lot of these websites, I think in 10 years, people are going to look back and be like, God, Google used to be this huge thing and now it's not. Or maybe it still will be. I don't know. Or remember when Google was one company and we didn't have all these baby Googles, the Goo-Goos, or whatever the hell we're going to call them, like they had Ma Bell and then they had Baby Bells. But what I'm saying, they could break it up. Or they could spin YouTube off into its own company again. I have no idea. But I think anytime you centralize that kind of power, it's a bad thing. And the weird thing about Twitter is the amount of influence it had, because normal people never used it. Twitter was always for the terminally online and for journalists. Like your grandma's not on Twitter, she's on Facebook. And even Facebook, you got to Facebook now, and it's like, are real people even using Facebook? Because it doesn't feel alive. It feels very much like the dead internet. You got to Facebook, it's all like AI ads, and it's basically just ads. Lots and lots of ads. A lot of pages out there are not growing. People aren't really sharing things like they used to. It's a lot of grandmas bitching about local politics or putting pictures of their grandkids up, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it used to be. People aren't really sharing articles like they used to. They're just bitching about local stuff. So it does feel like we're kind of at end stage Facebook, too. And that's probably why they're going in on the metaverse, because they're like, well, we gotta do something, right? We gotta have a backup. Anyway, back to this. This has come from the Washington Post. Elon Musk moves X out of San Francisco. City leaders shrug. Well, they don't get to control it, so they don't care anymore. They're like, fine, go to Texas. We knew you were Texas anyway. The chief economist of the city says that after Musk's deep staff cuts, X didn't offer much to San Francisco anyway. We don't want it. Wow. Social network's departure will mark an end of an era for San Francisco's downtown mid-market neighborhood, where city officials once courted tech companies with incentives dubbed the Twitter tax break. Musk made deep cuts to Twitter's workforce when he acquired the company in October of 2022. This comes from Washington Post, by the way. And X only has about 120 employees left in San Francisco, said a person familiar with the company's plans. Speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss company plans they were not authorized to disclose. lawsuit. The employees will be moved to office space in San Jose and Palo Alto, where Musk's AI startup AXI operates out of, the person said. And the company will conduct a survey to figure out where individual employees want to work. Ted Egan, San Francisco's chief economist, said while Twitter and its workforce were once an important driver of foot traffic in the neighborhood, X never served the same role. He attributes that to the work-from-home policies of the pandemic and Musk's mass layoffs. You never like to see a company move out of town. Oh, they would love for Twitter or X to move out. They had a shit fit about his sign. But it's a much smaller company now. Its future is uncertain. Its future is uncertain, and sometimes you have to look forward. Yeah, look forward to another big-ass empty building with a bunch of shit on the sidewalk. Good luck with that. I mean, this is like, so when I before I lived in California, I lived in Pennsylvania, and we saw this decline kind of with Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area. I remember they were like, well, we just have, another manufacturer move out. No big deal. We got lots more. Then another one moved out. No big deal. Barely an inconvenience. And then the next thing you know, like all these towns over by the Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area are all like just husks. There's like nothing left. There's like no economy. It's and that's what's going to happen to San Francisco. Everybody's moving out. They're all moving out. It's too damn expensive. It's too crime ridden. And then you have to pay through the nose to be there. Like, why the hell would you set up shop in San Francisco? There is no good reason. Musk said in a post on X on Monday he had no choice but to leave, appearing to blame the city's business taxes. But earlier so he actually is blaming the tax situation, but the media is trying to spin it like he's just ass mad about the trans laws here. He said earlier this month, he said he would move the company's headquarters to Austin, citing a new Golden State law meant to protect LGBTQ plus children as the final straw. He was already going to do it, but I think he just wanted to grandstand like, I'm leaving. It's like, dude, you were already leaving. As soon as you brought that sink in, you already had one foot out the door. Like, he knew what he was going to do. He joked about it, which meant he thought about it. So there we are. But yeah, he said last year he was committed to staying in the city. No, he was committed to staying in the city. I think he was hoping to get more of a tax break. Like, look, business owners most of them don't make like super emotional decisions, even if he personally doesn't like this particular law or whatever. And I know he's having issues with his own kids right now. And that's a whole nother thing. I'm not even going there. That's a whole thing. But he's not going to make a huge decision based on pure emotion. He's going to look at it from a business perspective. And San Francisco is just too expensive. It's as simple as that. It's too expensive and it's a shithole. It's sad. It's really sad. I'm actually pretty sad about it. Like, I have no reason to go back. I mean, hell, the town I grew up in, I don't even recognize it anymore. It's so overgrown now, and it's all strip malls, and it's terrible. But I'm gonna wrap this one up, guys. There you go. Going to Texas. Knew it was gonna happen. No homeless shelter. And is Austin actually Texas? I've had people tell me. I've never been to Austin. I've had people tell me that Austin was basically Portland inside of Texas. So it's Texas light, I guess. I know that like a lot of YouTubers and a lot of like Rooster Teeth and stuff, they were based in Austin, which is like its own little pocket dimension inside of Texas. I guess I imagine in my head it's kind of like Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Like, people don't understand. They look at Pennsylvania and they're like, oh, it's a blue state. It's very democratic and very liberal. No, actually it's not. It is actually a very conservative state, but Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and Harrisburg definitely pull it into blue territory when it comes to elections. But those pockets of blue are definitely insulated. There's like a freaking protective bubble. And then as soon as you leave the city, you're out in the woods. Everybody's got a pickup truck. Everybody's got guns. You got Trump signs in everybody's yard. Literally, it's Pennsylvania, right? So I don't know. That's kind of how I imagine it in my head. You'll have to tell me. I've never been to Austin. So I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.